Welcome to Mars Venus Coaching. I am your gender intelligence coach, Clay Smith. Compare a good conversation with a really fun card game. That back and forth dynamic of incorporating strategies for the gameplay, along with considering the occasional luck of the draw, it becomes an enjoyable bonding experience. If we compare the ways that we communicate to the cards that we have in our hand, unless we're utilizing a full deck, the game becomes unfair and no longer meaningful. Only relying on the words that we use, for instance, in the context of messaging, texting, email, it's like playing with a half-empty deck. Misunderstandings are going to happen, emotions get lost, and the full meaning of what you're trying to say often doesn't come through. In today's episode, I'm going to explore why communicating with both words and body language is essential and how it can transform your relationships at the office, with friends, family, and mostly your significant other. So let's dive in and make sure that you're never playing without a full deck. 55% of our communication is body language. Are we looking that person in the eye? Or do we appear distracted, oh man, disinterested, Do we have a closed body posture? Crossing our legs, our eyes, we are closed to what they have to say. Or do we have an open body posture? Sending an unconscious message that you're open and receptive to what they have to tell you. 38% of the way we communicate is in the tone of our voice. That rate, that pitch, that pace, it all sets the pace for how the conversation goes. Elevated tone levels are going to create different meanings. If I had a question and I whispered it to you, and I asked you that same question and I yelled it at you, you will create two separate meanings from that same question. And only 7% of the way we communicate is actually in the words that we choose. So I don't know what kind of card games you like, but if you only played with 7% of the cards, it's not going to be a very fun, it's not going to be a very fair game. So today we're going to talk about fexting. And essentially, it's a newer term. It refers to fighting or arguments in the context of a text message. Obviously, this can be a social media messaging app, email, texting, anytime that conversation turns into an argument and then becomes a fight. We're going to talk about why we utilize this communication pitfall, what the problems of communicating this way are, and lastly, how you can avoid falling into this trap. So have you ever had that conversation where talking about your day, your partner's out of town, your girlfriend's across the country, you're texting, catching up, everything's great, and then all of a sudden, it turns into an argument and turns right into that fight. What did you talk about? What were some of those testy topics that create that propensity to begin fighting? For some people, some testy topics would be jealousy or infidelity, chores, responsibilities, sex, intimacy, future plans, finances, parenting, co-parenting, family boundaries. These topics in of themselves don't create a fight, but oftentimes associated with these topics are negative emotions. Anytime you experience negative emotions and defensiveness, and you're trying to communicate with one of these topics to your partner over text message, you're only going to communicate 7% of your intended message. The other 93% will be misinterpreted and will be misconstrued. Whenever we experience negative emotions, our stress levels increase. With increased cortisol levels, the blood in the brain stops going to the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that separates you from the monkeys. And it goes to the back part of the brain. That's your reptilian center. That one is a fight or flight reactionary method. So when you have elevated stress levels and your partner and you are texting over the phone and exchanging, angry and blame and criticism and judgments and all that stuff, making, I'm going to leave the relationship and and you never did this and you're just an a blah, 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 blah. That message will be misinterpreted. They will take offense. They will get defensive. And whatever you have to say in that context, it will not be of any value. So this doesn't sound like a very good communication technique, Clay. 7% success rate. Why do people get caught up in this bullcrap? Well, first of all, we fight over a text message because it gives us time to formulate what we want to say. Think about an argument or a fight is just basically somebody expressing what they want or need in a really poor way. So if we have that safety of being by ourselves in our pajamas at 11:30 at night and our partners across the country, and we can just put it out there that we're not happy with them for leaving their shoes in the house and they left them upstairs and they never put them in the garage and they don't feel like they don't take care of your house and they don't treat you like a priority and all this bullshit that we make up that we're arguing with this person. We have a lot of time to formulate that in a text message. It's a safe place to think behind a screen. Your partner can't interrupt you. You can drop that bomb, put your phone down and go to bed. Guess what? You never gave them an opportunity to fight back. You don't experience their biofeedback. Like I said, 55% of communication is in body language. So if I held your hands and looked you in the eye and used those phrases that I just told you and called you all these names and criticized you and judged you and made you feel bad, I would have to see all of your facial features as you start to cry. I don't want to experience that when I'm trying to cut you down. Absolutely not. So this is a very easy way to communicate. A lot of times people say, well, I have something that's on my mind. I need to get it out and just text them right now and we can talk about it later. Okay? But is 1 o'clock in the morning the best way to have that conversation? While you text him that you're disgruntled about XYZ and he's on his lunch break, probably in go mode and in Mr. Fix-It mode, is that going to be your best bet? Do you think you're going to be heard? A sign of maturity is the willingness to put off an emotionally charged topic till a more appropriate time presents itself, like in a relationship check-in. So people text because it's easy, it's safe, but it's a cop-out. So what's the problem with texting? Well, there's no risk. I can say whatever the hell I want to say because I have that safety behind a screen. Another problem is there's no vocal tone. My partner can assume the worst. Even if we're talking about a potentially emotionally charged topic, and I might just ask a question out of sincerity and genuineness and curiosity, but they hear passive aggression. They misinterpret it as I'm poking fun at them or being mean or cutting them. And hey, maybe I was just seriously asking a legit question. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. So it leads to miscommunication. I don't have those body cues. So I'm just going to say whatever I want, put my phone down, and no immediate consequence. So how do we avoid falling in this trap? Well, they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We've got to make an agreement with your partner that says, hey, if we're ever communicating, messaging, text, email, whatever, and you and I start to experience pretty negative emotions and there's some defensiveness going on, yeah, could we agree we're done talking about that? Let's just set up another time to talk. Cool? Great. Then create an awareness of when you're feeling those negative emotions and or experiencing defensiveness. Experiencing defensiveness, it's a learned skill. Most people aren't aware that they're defensive. So being aware of what you're feeling, and if you are feeling defensive when you're communicating with your partner, once you pick up on that feeling in yourself or in them, suggest an alternative time to talk face to face. Now, put your boundaries out there. Don't continue to have that conversation or fight via text if they're continuously pushing your buttons. Call for a timeout. You can go see my other episode on the timeout technique, but essentially, you're just going to use these short phrases. This is getting a little intense for me. I think I need to take a break. I'm going to go put my phone down and go do XYZ. And if they keep pushing your buttons and won't respect your need for that timeout, walk away from your phone. Because remember, when we get stressed, cortisol levels, blood goes to the back part of our brain, fight or flight. Both of you are stressed, you're both defensive. Whatever you communicate at that time, 93% of what you're trying to say will be misinterpreted, misconstrued, and feelings are going to get hurt. People are going to take things personally. Big stories are going to get made up. Big feelings are going to make up. And then we're going to end up making permanent decisions based off of temporary emotions. So understanding what fexting is gives us an ability to create an awareness to make sure we don't use that communication technique. Now we know why our partner might fall into that trap. Maybe they want to take the easy way out. They're that screaming baby in the grocery store and they have to immediately erupt with emotions because they can't hold it down until they have a better time to communicate. We know how to avoid it by, first of all, making an agreement that we're not going to utilize this communication technique. And then we're creating an awareness of when we're feeling and if we have defensiveness with our partner and don't proceed. Because what we're doing here is we're creating more connection in the relationship. You see, connection and defensiveness, two opposite sides of a spectrum. I can't be connected to you and defensive. Right? Defensive is I have a castle with high walls. The gates are bolted shut. I have the alligators, swimming underneath to get you if you try and go in the moat. I have the armed guards at the top with the guns and the cannonballs, and we're defending ourselves from you. Can't be connected. Quite the opposite. If I'm connected with you, I'm vulnerable to you. You have my phone code, you have my garage code, you have a house key, you sleep in the same bed with me, we have the same bank account, we're parenting the same, children. That's why defensiveness doesn't work in a long-term happy relationship. You can't protect yourself against someone who has your keys, who pays your water bill. So we've got to be connected with one another. And that's through eliminating defensiveness. And that's through having potentially emotionally charged conversations in person at a more appropriate time instead of over a text message. So I highly recommend that you can apply this tool in your relationships. If you'd like to book a complimentary coaching call with me so we can gain further understanding on how to apply this principle in your relationships, click the link below and we can choose a time that works for you. If you receive value from this video, I would really appreciate you hitting that like button. And hey, if you've been implementing this relationship tool in your relationships, I'd love to hear about your experience in the comment section below. Let's stay connected through utilizing all 100% of our communication capability to embrace clarity through conversations while engaging in meaningful dialogue.